The state Senate okays all 4 nominees to the Casino Control Commission.
A closer look at new efforts to reduce conflict and violence in state institutions.
The Giants make some moves. Van Horn, Mikolajczyk, and Dean depart. Details tonight in sports.
New Jersey Nightly News with Karen Stone, correspondent Gus Henningberg, and Bill Perry with sports.
Good evening. The state Senate today confirmed all 4 nominees to the Casino Control Commission, including 1 controversial out-of-state appointment. The vote came just hours after the Senate Judiciary Committee released the names, but not before tempers flared over Martin Danziger's nomination. The irony is, even though Danziger caused the most commotion, many consider him the most qualified candidate. Mary Amoroso reports.
The Senate Judiciary Committee was angry today. Not only had the governor insulted South Jersey by failing to nominate a single South Jersey casino commissioner, not only had he added injury to insult by nominating Martin Danziger, who doesn't even live in New Jersey, but now 2 of Byrne's other nominees were in the newspapers saying they wouldn't serve on the Casino Commission unless Danziger was confirmed. Judiciary Committee members were feeling the pressure and crying foul.
I don't think Mrs. McWhinney or any other nominee has a right to tell this committee who they're going to serve with and who they're not going to serve with.
But we shouldn't be badgered. We shouldn't have our arms twisted by the executive branch. We shouldn't have the arms twisted by the governor himself. And we certainly shouldn't have our arms twisted by other nominees.
And yet, despite the fuming, most of the committee would vote for Danziger. Senator Joseph Maressa, not one to heap praise, said the man had impeccable credentials and a certain something extra.
This man has something special about him. He was sincere, outright, notwithstanding all of his experience and ability. You know, I always like to look somebody right in the eyes and make my own determination. That
when the vote was taken, 8 members would go for Danziger, with only 3 against him. And those no votes were more of a protest by South Jersey than a rejection of Danziger. On the Senate floor, there was a tense moment while Judiciary Chairman Bill Musto tried to round up 30 votes so the full Senate could vote on Danziger today ahead of schedule. That accomplished, the debate on Danziger began. South Jersey legislators once again made their complaint of no representation, and once again legislators attacked the governor for picking an out-of-stater. But Danziger was approved 25-7. So were the other nominees, civil rights activist Don Thomas, 29-3, banker Madeline McWhinney, 26-5, and reporter Carl Zeitz, 28-4. Current casino chairman Joseph Lordi retires in November, and it's clear that the Judiciary Committee wants his replacement to be a South Jersey resident. The governor's office says it has been trying to find South Jersey nominees, and it will keep on trying. In Trenton, I'm Mary Amoroso.
The Senate also today approved 2 referendums for this November's ballot, but it tabled a proposed constitutional amendment which would have limited one power of the governor. Steve Taylor reports.
Assemblyman Albert Burstein of Bergen County was a spectator at today's Senate session, hoping for passage of his pocket veto amendment. The senators are also concerned that the governor has the power to kill most bills without actually vetoing them, but they did not agree that a constitutional amendment is the way to solve the problem. So the Senate referred Burstein's bill back to committee, which means the question will not be on the ballot this year. 2 others will, however, because of Senate action today. One was the $99 million public building bond issue, including provision for a new state prison in Camden. The other ballot question, should racetrack gambling be allowed on Sunday? Both issues will be settled by voters this November. At the State House in Trenton, I'm Steve Taylor.
Congressman Frank Thompson figures prominently in the latest Abscam reports. Jack Anderson reports in his column today, FBI videotapes show Thompson asking FBI undercover agents to deposit $300,000 to $500,000 in several Trenton banks. Anderson said the tapes show Thompson bragging about his political clout, both in New Jersey and the Congress. And according to a report in the Philadelphia Inquirer, Angelo Arricchetti delivered $435 million worth of phony certificates of deposit to FBI undercover agents during their Abscam operation. According to a federal court affidavit, the Camden mayor and state senator got the phony certificates from Camden businessman Frank Pulini. According to the document, Arricchetti wrote the figure $100,000 down on a slip of paper as the amount necessary to pay off 4 of the state's 5 casino control members. Arricchetti, according to that affidavit, later picked up $100,000 during a meeting attended by former Commission Vice Chairman Kenneth McDonald. Arricchetti, who boasted of close ties to New Jersey and Philadelphia mobsters, also told the agents he knew of 12 New Jersey state legislators who could be bought, and he offered to make the necessary contacts. All this in that affidavit filed in Brooklyn federal court by the head of Eastern New York's Organized Crime Task Force. And Cora State Hospital psychiatric hospital officials insist their facility is no scene from the movie Cuckoo's Nest and that patients there are not routinely subjected to abuse. 5 hospital attendants have been suspended after 3 separate incidents of alleged misconduct. The most serious allegation is that 3 of the attendants dragged a patient to dinner by his neck after he refused to go on his own. Those 3 face dismissal and assault charges in municipal court. Don Torrance has more.
Hospital officials are going out of their way to cooperate with not only the authorities but the news media as well. They say they're surprised this case is getting so much attention. They admit things like this happen from time to time, and each time are handled in the same way. The union representing the attendant says that's the trouble. Everyone worries about the patient's rights, but they say no one cares about theirs.
It does occur, and our reaction is immediately to suspend the employee, to conduct an investigation. If the charges are substantiated, he is removed from his employment. If the allegation is of an egregious nature, then we consider filing criminal charges through our chief security officer.
If the resident had have been left on the ward unattended, what would have happened if the patient had have hung himself? Okay? You run into situations like this every day at this place. Now, the patients have a Bill of Rights miles long, and what do we have? Nothing at all. They don't have to take medication. We don't have any recourse whatsoever for any action they take against us. They can say we did anything, and they're the ones that are believed, while we're supposedly the ones in charge of this situation. All it's turned to is they might as well take our keys away and give the keys to every patient that's brought in here.
Gilmore wouldn't rule out a job action if the case isn't resolved to his satisfaction. He insists the patients, they're called residents here, are on the verge of taking over the hospital.
There are guidelines set by the hospital for the use of physical restraint. They are if the resident is harming himself, other residents, or is destroying property. Now, we weren't allowed to interview any of the patients on camera, but those I spoke with off camera say yes, they have seen instances where physical restraint has been used. As far as they can determine, it's been within those guidelines. If it hasn't been, they say, other employees have reported the instances to their superiors.
That's what happened in this case. The 3 attendants were turned in by co-workers who thought they were using unnecessary force. The 3 face a court hearing August 27th, a hospital hearing after that. In Winslow Township, I'm Don Torrance.
A former member of the Pagan motorcycle gang and his wife have been found shot to death in Millville. They both were scheduled to testify today in the assault trial of another Pagan gang member. Police said 31-year-old William Tomlinson and his 29-year-old wife Tony, both shot in the head once, were found in a Millville gravel pit. Both were from Wilmington, Delaware, and were to testify in county court there. Thousands of fish in Weequahic Lake in Newark have died, apparently victims of the prolonged heat wave. Workers from the Essex County Park Commission spent the day raking remains of bass, catfish, and carp that were stocked in these waters earlier this year for recreational fishing. There's quite a stench from the decaying fish, but officials say there is no danger to people using the park. Still, it's apparent the fishing season is over there.
Well, basically, the water has gotten so hot over the past 2 weeks that the water temperature actually up last week up to 81 degrees, and it's forced the oxygen in the water to dissipate, and with the lack of oxygen, all the fish have been dying. And it's also caused the algae to grow and all of that.
Officials have banned all fishing in that lake, although the park itself will remain open. The National Urban League is meeting in New York City this week, and among those in attendance, 700 delegates from New Jersey. Sandra King reports.
This year's conference is different from those past. League President Vernon Jordan is absent, still recovering from a sniper's bullet, and his Vice President, Don Thomas of Orange, leaving the league to take a seat on New Jersey's new Casino Control Commission. As for the delegates, they came this year to talk about their problems and interests, but they also came to listen to the men who would lead us all.
Well, we think it's extremely important this year for the conference in view of the fact that all 4 presidential nominees are coming by here. We think this in and of itself signifies the importance of the national conference.
Langdon Dames heads the Essex chapter. the oldest in New Jersey.
The delegates, including the New Jersey delegation, will have a keen ear out to listen for some solution to the problems of unemployment, housing, and some of the other very severe problems that the black community is meeting.
And those concerns cut across state lines.
The Urban League is a universal kind of agency. We all operate on the same mission statement, using various tools to achieve the same thing, equal opportunity.
And when Ted Kennedy today stepped forward to a warm, if brief, ovation, he too spoke of opportunity and jobs. And Kennedy's just the first in the series of presidential hopefuls, all scheduled to appear here before it's all over on Wednesday. Also today, John Anderson. Tomorrow, Ronald Reagan. And Wednesday, Jimmy Carter. Because while the Urban League does meet every year, this convention is special. This is a presidential election year. And the time has passed when any candidate can ignore the black vote. At the Urban League Convention in Manhattan, I'm Sandra King.
And now here's the weather forecast for the state. Tonight will be partly cloudy, warm and humid with some fog or haze toward morning. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 70s. It will be partly sunny, hot and humid again tomorrow with a chance of showers later in the day. Highs will be in the low to mid 90s. And the outlook for Wednesday, partly sunny and hot. And now here's Bill Perry with lots of football, soccer, and tennis.
Your favorite. Coming up later. Thank you, Karen. The Giants are just 6 days away from their first exhibition. Pittsburgh's at Giant Stadium this Saturday night, and I understand the Steelers are a pretty good club. The Giants are wheeling and dealing. Veteran offensive linemen Doug Van Horn and Ron Mikolajczyk have been let go. More on Van Horn, 12 years at Giant tomorrow night. We are interviewing Van Horn tonight. Also, quarterback Randy Dean has been dealt to Green Bay for a middle-round 1981 draft choice. Scott Bruner is the #2 quarterback now behind Phil Simms. Bruner's a rookie out of Delaware and Lawrenceville, NJ. The Cosmos won their 13th without a loss at Giant Stadium last night, 4-1 over L.A. Here's Francois Vander Elst to make it 2-0. 12 minutes into the second half, Johan Neeskens had a first-half goal. L.A. 2-0 winners over the Cosmos in June made it 2-1. 5 minutes later, Bruce Wilson's the Cosmos defender, guilty of the handball. Luis Fernando converted on the penalty kick. Tough way for Hubert Birkenmeyer to lose the shutout. Giorgio Canalia took over to account for the 4-1 final. Giorgio, number 27 of the season here, converting his own rebound. The 48,000 saw Giorgio get number 28 on a penalty kick with just 6 minutes to play in the match after Vander Elst was fouled in front. 4-1, but Francois said tough game.
It was not an easy game because the Aztecs played very well today. The first half, I think they were better than the Cosmos, but we were lucky to score a goal. And then in the second half, we play a lot better, and we could have 5-6 goals more, I think.
But the 4 goals were enough. Next for the Cosmos, Edmonton, Thursday night at Giant Stadium. The finals of the Mutual Benefit Life Open Tennis Tournament yesterday in South Orange. 4,201 saw Jose Luis Clerc upset top-seeded John McEnroe 6-3, 6-2 to gain the championship. Clerc, who didn't lose a set all week, was down 2-0 in the first set. It looked like Mac was on his way to easily defend his Mutual Benefit title, but it turned around quickly. This point is a good example of how Clerc did it. Patience. And the man is a master on clay. McEnroe, bothered by blistered hands, was playing in his first tournament since his runner-up finish to Bjorn Borg at Wimbledon, that great match. But in no way would Mac use the hand problem as an excuse.
The main reason that I lost today was obviously the way Jose played. The results, every time I played him on clay, the results been the same, so 0-3 now. So one of these days, he's definitely one of the, in my opinion, one of the top players in the world on clay, and I'm hoping that he doesn't improve on all the other surfaces too.
So McEnroe, a good sport in defeat. This is it, match point. It'll end as McEnroe hits it out off the forehand, an unforced error. Clark's your champion.
I am really, really happy today. I play, I think, great match. I am so happy because I beat a very good tennis player, John McEnroe.
And the Yankees have purchased veteran third baseman Aurelio Rodriguez from San Diego. Of course, Greg Nettles out on the disabled list with hepatitis. Okay, Karen.
Thank you, Bill. Negotiations in the PATH strike resume tomorrow in Washington as the strike enters its 54th day. Union leaders say they're standing firm on demands for a 36% wage increase over the next 3 years, along with job security and other fringe benefits. Federal officials are looking into charges of sexual harassment and mismanagement in the Census Bureau's Patterson office. Investigators are probing charges that the office's district manager, Clive Nelson, made sexual advances to many current and former Bureau employees. Some employees have charged Nelson promised overtime and full-time employment if they cooperated with his sexual demands. Unwelcome sexual advances are forbidden under federal regulations. If found guilty, a government employee can be reprimanded or can lose his or her job. Earlier in tonight's program, we reported that 5 attendants at Ancora State Psychiatric Hospital have been suspended after incidents involving alleged misconduct. Whatever comes of those cases, the fact remains that life in institutions for the mentally ill and retarded, for both staff and patients, is not easy. Tonight, correspondent Gus Henningberg in Newark takes a closer look at a new program designed to make institutional life easier and safer. Gus?
Thank you, Karen. Institutions for the mentally retarded are often called homes, and with good reason. Many so-called MRs spend their entire lives in such places, and a sort of family life develops. But like all families, people, staff, and residents in MR living units don't always get along. This scene took place at the State School for Mentally Retarded Women and Girls in Vineland recently. No, these women are not inmates. But if the role-playing here is convincing, it's because these women do know the territory. They are staff members at the Southern New Jersey institution, most of them assigned to direct care in the cottages. The staffers are taking part in a new training program dubbed Crisis Recognition, Prevention, and Intervention. During this year, 13,000 staff members at 13 New Jersey institutions will participate in the week-long program. One such staffer is Edwina Jalowitz, here playing a familiar role. One begun 16 years ago when she came to Vineland as a cottage attendant.
Chemical and physical restraints have definitely moved into almost the unknown. You have to get the person to deal with their emotions. Because many times when people are violent and disturbed and things, they generate this from a feeling of unworth. I'm not anyone. I don't count. I'm just another name, another number, just another clog in the wheel. And when someone says to you, I love you, I care, that says, hey, I'm somebody.
These are real inmates at Vineland State. Well, under the new treatment approach, they're no longer called inmates. Now they are residents or clients. The attendants have become human services assistants. 1,800 girls and women live on 2 sprawling campuses in Vineland. Most came here as children, and many never leave. Anna Knapp here, for example, has been at Vineland for nearly 70 of her 85 years. But times have changed, and the emphasis now is not so much on custody, but on learning and living.
Apple.
Apple.
Still, despite the new treatment-oriented approach, life at Vineland continues to be marked by conflict.
You're crazy, I did not. You retarded. You're all right.
This isn't the real thing either. For all its pervasiveness, capturing a truly violent incident with our cameras was deemed too difficult. No matter, a local ad hoc version of Actors' Equity was hastily assembled, and two MRs, Janice Whitmore and Alice Buckwald, both of whom have lived here since they were children, staged a fight over money, a common problem.
You didn't take 50 cents. Yes, she did. I did not take the money off you. Spend it down at TNT. I did not.
Naomi Green, a Human Services Assistant, or HSA, the entry-level job, played peacemaker in our little drama, a role with which she says she is all too familiar.
Every day, every 8 hours of the day, you go work with the residents and you just take things the way you think they should be handled, you know. That's the way you have to deal with it. Know not to get hurt and, you know, and how to stop them from hurting someone else. Like, if they're going to fight, try to stop them from hurting you and don't hurt them.
Naomi Green is one of 50 staffers who recently took part in the first crisis intervention training session at Vineland. The man in charge is Alan Cooper of Philadelphia, who's contracted with the state to run the program. He opens and closes each class with a special song designed to stress the giving aspect of modern MR care.
Good caring, everybody. All right, now let's...
Mr. Cooper now has a master's degree in social work, but he began his career as a janitor in a mental institution.
A wheelchair can be a deadly weapon if they choose to make it so. A crutch can crutch you to death. But our young ladies, as sweet as they are, our lovely flowers out there, they may never do such things, but they can. We are trying to teach staff how to recognize the type of disorder and the types of things that tell you you have a disorder coming before it even arrives, and then give them a method of responding to disorder that is legal, moral, clinical, ethical, and professional. We come with all kinds of weapons. We come fully equipped for battle. We don't need no additions. And if you cut off her hands and cut off her legs and pull out her teeth, she can spit you to death too.
No. It's not. Just back off. Leave me alone. Tired of people around here asking me what's wrong.
A central precept in violence intervention is maintaining what Mr. Cooper calls friendly space.
Friendly space is that space that one finds when my fingertips and your fingertips come together. The space in between is large enough so that I cannot strike you so long as I stay in that space, and you cannot strike me. Someone maintaining that space is freed from being assaulted by another person.
Nell Merlino, daughter of the New Jersey Senate President, visited the class the day we were there. She coordinates this training program and was instrumental in its inception.
Between the union and the Public Advocate's Office and the Department of Human Services, we sat down, I guess, about a year ago, and began to look at why those situations developed and what was it that staff needed.
Dr. Donald Babcock, Chief of Professional Services, took his turn playing the role of a patient.
What's the matter today, Henry?
The program lends itself to a more personal approach of employee to resident, a greater concept of normality rather than strict enforcement, of understanding rather than enforce. And this program fosters these ideas in total harmony with all the federal guidelines and legislation.
Michael Haidt, the unit leader in the class, feels the analysis of crisis escalation will prove helpful on the job.
What Mr. Cooper gives is a method of observation
of information gathering for the direct care persons so that they can avoid before the crisis gets out of hand. We feel that the longer a critical situation develops, the more explosive it is in the end, you know, when it gets to the conflict. Sometimes we don't recognize this buildup. Maybe using the identification systems that Mr. Cooper provides, we can obviate some of that.
All right, what's a war? Kathy, what's a war?
War is mobilizing your community in a fight.
Part of the training process calls for Cooper to develop trainees to function as group leaders so the crisis intervention program can be expanded to reach all staff members.
The most powerful force that exists on a unit is care. Physical force is the weakest force of them all. And our staff operating in the situations you operate in must always operate in a form that is legal, that's within the context of the client's Bill of Rights. They must operate in a moral fashion. They must operate in a clinical fashion. They must operate in a professional fashion. They must do all these things. And if they do all these things in the proper kind of way, no matter how hot it is, no matter if we had what we had here, people throwing chairs, people trying to attack people, it will go down.
Qualifications for direct care workers at institutions like Vineland State are not high. They couldn't possibly be given the low pay and the difficult demands of that job. But the hope is that this kind of in-service training program will both improve the level of MR care and make the work more attractive. Karen?
Thank you, Gus. Once again, our top stories. A Senate panel cleared the fourth nominee to the Casino Control Commission this afternoon, and then the full Senate approved all 4 names. One of those new commissioners, Don Thomas, was in the news today as he attended the National Urban League Conference in New York City. Thomas and about 700 other New Jerseyans will hear from the major presidential candidates at that conference. And talks resume tomorrow in Washington as the PATH strike enters its 54th day. That's the news. For Gus Henningberg in Newark, Bill Perry here in Trenton, I'm Karen Stone. Good night for the New Jersey Nightly News.
New Jersey Nightly News is a joint presentation of New Jersey Public Television and WNET 13. The program is broadcast weeknights at 6:30 p.m. on Channel 13 and at 7:30 p.m. on New Jersey Public Television. There's a repeat broadcast at 10 p.m. on New Jersey Public Television and at 7 the following morning on Channel 13. Portions pre-recorded.